Welcome to episode 12 of Tat-Talk. My name is Remi. Today I'm here with Lou, who is a tattoo artist at Little Tokyo. Okay, let me just look at each other. Okay, so how did you get into industry? What year was it? What happened?
Wow. It was back in my old sort of punk days, early 90s in Newtown, and everyone was just sort of doing fair, crazy stuff, and usually, actually at that point I was actually living very feral, chaining myself to trees up north, and
no shit.
My punk friends were like doing bad tattoos all over themselves, and I was sort of good at art, so they were like, hey, Lou, can you come and fix this up? So I got into it by fixing up all my friends'
tattoos,
hand poke tattoos.
Oh, no way.
And then a woman who, Exeter Medici, who was a really well-known tattooist then, she'd actually got a scholarship from the Australian Arts Council to go and study tattooing in the US. And she came back and really wanted to train a woman because she knew how hard it was for women to get into the industry. So, and she heard about me tattooing my punk friends through her brother, who was a punk. And she invited me to go down to Canberra. She was based in Canberra.
Okay.
To do an apprenticeship with her. So that was how I got into it.
That's such a gnarly story. Was there many women in the industry at that time that you can remember? Were you around tattoo shops at all?
No. I wasn't around tattoo shops because it was a really different scene. The tattoo shops were really biker back then, and for someone like me, just wasn't where I was at.
Yeah.
I was just not in that whole scene. We were a punk scene. We were very different to that. It was sort of a little niche that was always ignored, but we were there.
Yeah.
What did you just ask again?
Oh, was there many women in the tattoo scene?
God, no, there are only about 5. I think 5 that I knew of across the whole of Australia.
Did that scare you at all to get into it then?
It was probably a bit more intimidating because, and there was certainly not much support. The guys at that point didn't want women entering into the industry, so it was very closed off, and
that's so epic.
Very, very different. Yeah.
So what was the apprenticeship down? So you went to Canberra to do the apprenticeship?
Yeah, so I was in Canberra for a couple of years.
Yep.
And that was interesting. Didn't really like Canberra. So.
Yeah, who did?
I was down to Sydney every weekend. Yeah, my partner was in Sydney, so yeah.
So how long did you do your apprenticeship for? And what were you doing? What were your main, what were people getting at that time?
So I was only there for about 2 years, and then after that, actually Megan, who's here now, wanted to come to Canberra, and everyone said, get out of Canberra. So actually I did, and X just said, get overseas. Just, there's nothing for you here in Australia.
Yeah.
Which there wasn't back then. There were no decent, good shops to work in, so I just packed my bags and headed to London. And I was there for 3 years.
And then, where did you go after London? When did you come back to Australia?
Well, when I was over there, I did sort of do a few stints elsewhere. I was actually in India for 6 months. That's a whole other story. Yeah. Landed there on a one-way ticket and £100, and I had to tattoo my way out of India.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so then Holy
shit, I don't think we've ever spoken about oh my God, how you got into all this.
Yes.
Holy shit.
And then I'm doing now.
Okay, so we need to, I feel like there's so much we can talk about. But so with your style now, you do a very particular style. How did that come about?
Okay, so the whole Australian thing, I'd always been really interested, and way back, that was always my idea. But back in the early 90s, it was like, oh, you can't do that, and no one, there was, Australian tattoos at that point, they were Ned Kelly tattoos or a VB can or the made in Australia.
They're all the ones that I'm lasering off now.
So it was and we just actually had the Cronulla race rights. So that was the main motivation, that we needed to develop a tattoo for Australia that was cool, that wasn't completely fucking bogan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So that was where the botanical work started to evolve.
Ah, yeah, all the flowers and stuff that you've done. Yeah.
And at that point, I was in Mullumbimby, and I started to also get young Aboriginal people coming in. And what they wanted was LA gangster tattoos.
Yeah.
So I'd actually done a degree in anthropology, majoring in Aboriginal studies at uni. So I would be like, oh my God, no, what are you doing?
Yeah, interesting.
Do something for your own culture.
Of course.
And they were like, well, like what? What are we going to do? And I knew enough to say, well, how about we do some totems?
Yeah.
And they were a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about this, because they'd never seen Aboriginal tattoos before, because they just had not been done at that point. And it was actually the parents who were really into it. Yeah, I would pretty much drag them in. Their kids saying this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And anyway, then it just took off, you know. I mean, obviously, I never thought it was going to take off, because you just don't think that, you know, there's a whole thing going to happen in Aboriginal tattoos. It was very much trying to connect these young people back to their culture and using a modern medium, which was the tattooing, which was cool, in order to do that for them, to sort of just get them interested back into culture. So
sure.
That's sort of how that has all evolved.
That's insane. Because not like, you're one of the only tattoo artists I know that does that style.
Yeah, well...
And people come from all over the place to see you.
Yeah, there's a few people who've started doing it now, but really not very many, and I don't think they've got that same sort of background. Or
because you seem to have like quite a broad community of people that you know, like Indigenous people and people that particularly come to you.
It's a real honour that mob fly in now from all over Australia, and, you know, it's...
Is it just from word of mouth, or have you kind of been out with mobs?
Not really. It's just been word of mouth and I guess social media. You know, back in the day, I'd done a bit of other, mainstream media, but I mean, I think it's just evolved really. You know, especially back then when there was no one else doing it. You know, and yeah.
I mean, it'd be so interesting for you now to see how much the industry has changed.
Oh my
God! Even just like more chicks.
Oh, totally.
Females.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Like even watching that. You know, watching, female tattooists. Social media groups evolve, and just seeing the support on there, which is just something we just never got, and it's great to see, but we never got that sort of support.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting, like talking to you and Megan, because you both tattooed in that time where it was so male dominated.
Yeah,
I just can't even imagine, because now it's so, I feel like it's probably not 50-50. But there's a large female.
Oh, yeah, it's completely
different.
It is just so different. Yeah.
Or like, and the machines and everything has changed.
Everything. The whole industry has just gone warp speed in that time.
And you still love it. You still do it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do you have any big projects coming up? Or do you ever guest anywhere? Like, do you ever consider going to different states?
It's just more the whole licensing thing with going up.
Yeah.
There'd be more work for me up in Queensland because there's a lot of mob up there. But again, it's that licensing thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hassle.
Yeah. Sure. And I'd like to go mobile actually and do a mobile setup.
Yeah.
And go more remote. But again, it's best you can't do that in New South Wales. There's a lot of legal restrictions.
It's really hard in New South Wales. Yeah. People underestimate how many hoops you have to get through to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So how long have you been at Little Tokyo then? And how did you meet Reese?
Gosh, so I had my own studio in Sydney, a small studio, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I didn't want to pay all the rent while we were just shut down for years. So then I actually spoke to Reese and I said, hey, you got any space going at the moment?
Yeah.
Just want to, be in there a few days a week. And he was like, yeah, come aboard. So that's been fantastic.
So did you just know the studio and that's how you met Reese, or had you met Reese in the past?
Oh, no, I met Reese in the past.
Yeah, I was sure.
And actually it was funny because he actually rang up to ask me some advice about an Aboriginal tattoo. And I was like, oh, cool, mate.
Good timing.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's sick.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
amazing.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed the chat.
No, I can't. Yeah, I want to do like a whole nother segment with you, hearing about everything.
Oh, mate. Yeah, you haven't even gone to India yet. Like, that's the whole crazy, yeah.
That's insane.
A lot of crazy stuff.
Well, yeah, we should do, I want to hear Lou's crazy stories. That should be an episode. That'd be sick. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, real pleasure.
And then if you want to book with Lou, wherever I'm looking, Tattoo Lou on Instagram.
Woo. Yeah, okay.
Bye. Cool. Bye. Thank you.